text you at 3:57. You text me, I text you back. You're good. Otherwise, you'd be here for all and a half.
Oh, they're leaving already?
Otherwise, you'd be here for all and a half. So I can't move you up. So I will.
I've got to get this permit
There
to
it
the
is.
state.
It's going. Don't worry about it.
Did you ask them for the page one? Okay.
I got this permit in the state.
Yeah, we'll get it done.
Thank you.
You bet.
Later.
See ya. Not working.
Is your pen work? It's moving.
Yeah, this thing isn't working. Unless it has to be on here.
There you go.
We have to start our meetings earlier. Yeah, it's in your meeting, yep. Yeah. Just like the regular meeting. Is nothing working?
Can it see the podium?
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'll call this meeting to order. First up, roll call.
Counselor Maraz,
Present.
Counselor Jibbery,
Present.
Mayor Levine,
Present.
Counselor Levine,
Present.
Counselor Thronson.
Present.
Thank you.
Next up, pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up, number 5, consent agenda. Have any questions?
Mayor Levine, can
Yes.
you add those 2 items to your agenda?
All right, before we do that, we got 2 items to add to the agenda on the new business. There'll be, we need to set up a meeting for ambulance service. And the second thing will be to pay some bills for the fire truck with McQueen equipment. All right, now we'll move back to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the additions. to the
I'll second
agenda.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. First up will be, on appearances, will be Alan Johnson, Benchmark Engineer.
Oh, we gotta do consent agenda.
There was a motion by Counselor Levine, supported by Counselor Jibbery to accept the additions to the agenda. And now we'll move on to the consent agenda.
And I have some updates on the minutes that we need to correct. And that's on page 4 in Radbath or 2. And the changes on the 3% for the fees. And it has $7 in here. It's $10. It isn't $7 on the flat fee to start. It was 10, I watched the video even, or the recording, and I know we had brought up 10, and then it was said, no, minimum has to be 10, and then Chris remembers, okay, just, all right? That's the only correction, if we could get that. And then also with the travel request, I don't know if Chris wants to answer, is this 12.7 and this is 11.5, or is that 12.5 on the bottom? I mean, did they go to this, or is it, I'm not sure when it was handed in. I can't tell if it's 11 or 2 on this one. Is that 11 or 2? Up here it's 12.7. It's 12, okay. That's, okay, that's, okay, so that's why I just had a question on that. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the recommended change to the minutes.
I'll second.
Any further discussion, all in favor? Motion carried. You'll take care of all that. Okay, Alan, you're up, though.
All right. Okay, so in your packet, request 18 for Utility Systems of America. This is the amount of $12,355.20. The only item on it that's not paid for now, get us up to date, is the fencing, and this is for the fencing that's already installed, so. That's what we're asking you to consider. There's still retainage held on this project.
I'll make a motion to approve pay request 18.
I'll second that. Any further discussion?
Yeah, why is there 2 separate ones? Is this, I just ended up with 2?
Yeah, I
I think
think
there's 2 on the packet.
Okay, that's
Double
okay.
copies.
I kind of went through it and I wasn't finding, but that's all right. Then I'm good. That was my only question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thanks, Alan. Unfinished business, update on joint sewer board letter of employee time from Attorney Brian Lindsay.
Thank you, Mayor. I did receive the approval from the council at the last meeting. Within a couple of days after that meeting, a couple of small adjustments were made to the letter and was sent out by regular first-class mail. I have not heard a response yet.
So that's what we're gonna have to wait now for them to respond, obviously. Was there any date put it in there
I don't
that
recall.
said to respond? No. Just curious, how long we would wait then, 30 days?
I typically wouldn't wait 30. I would typically between 10 and 20 days.
Okay.
Typically.
Okay.
So it's almost time.
Yeah, it's very close.
All right, we'll just move on from that then. Under unfinished business, approve the Nashwauk OM&R invoices for joint sewer agreement.
So without an answer to the letter, are we just waiting on this, correct?
There's
Robert,
a couple different ways to look at this. The agreement indicates, the joint power agreement indicates that we should pay. Part of what we're doing with the letter is we're looking not only to eliminate certain of the costs from the most recent bill, but we're looking to recover some of what's been paid in the past by saying, look, it's been inappropriately paid, or it was inappropriately charged to the city, and what we paid it, we didn't know it. So we could kind of follow that same process, pay the entire amount, and then just reserve our right to try and claw it back. Or, I mean, if the OM&R invoice can be divided into portions that are disputed and portions that are undisputed, we could pay the undisputed portions and just say, look, please see our letter. But we should, if there are portions of it that are undisputed, we should at a minimum pay those so we don't fall behind in our obligations to the joint board.
There were, in the building that they did send us after we requested it, a lot of the stuff that's in there goes to the startup of the plant, things that we're gonna end up paying now or later anyway. The question is everything before August 15th.
Yeah.
How do we go about you know, how are we gonna figure out if that's right or wrong? Eventually, we're gonna have to pay those bills too.
Correct. Yeah, and the letter that was sent out, the primary dispute was the prior charges ahead of us, actually, ahead of the city receiving services from the system. And then also as to employees, how the time was divided and whether or not the proper approvals were taken to incur those expenses, because the employee expenses, number one, exceed $25,000 for each quarter. Those expenses are supposed to come back to this council specifically for approval. So that's kind of the primary thrust of the objections.
So what are
Question.
you, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
What are you recommending that we pay them? I mean, looks like the insurance
Correct.
would be something, and the testing fees, the permits, the operating supplies. Is that
Yeah.
questionable on what we're actually getting billed, or?
Yeah.
So between that and the hours and benefits?
Yeah, the employee expenses are the ones that I think are the primary concern for me.
Okay,
Well, to fill our obligation, I understood in that contract that we had a $10,000 a year, and it's towards the back of it, right? Do you recall that? Why not just pay that 10,000 obligation until we get clear on all of these other charges and a response to this?
Yeah, that 10,000 you're referring to is it like called a management fee?
Yes, because it is giving them something, but it's not, I don't know how everyone else feels, but
and that's per year, correct?
We've
Yes.
only got 3/4 of a year billing on here. So it's only, that 10,000 is actually right now only 7,500.
Right.
It is,
Because-
you're right, it is 10,000 by now.
Right.
Yeah,
But we're
But
not-
you can do that on your check also, that say this will take care of our obligation for the year of 2023. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but it's covering us, so they're getting something. Until they come back and answer the questions that you refer to in here and have their attorney look at it. I don't know, that's just my thoughts.
At our last sewer meeting, it was discussed with the operator and everybody on the board that was there. And Jason said that these labor costs are gonna come down.
Okay.
You know, it was a startup this summer, there was a lot of extra work to get things going. Now, from now on, he thinks the hours will be less. So, something to think about when we get together, when they answer.
Yeah.
so are you thinking we should just take everything off but or take just the hours off, so about 20 grand? And then pay the difference of that?
Yeah, that may be a good way to look at it, because it's a good faith gesture, and it really narrows down where the issue may lie.
Mhm. Okay, I'll make a motion to pay the invoice for the wastewater treatment facility project cost joint sewer agreement in the amount of $68,739.70 minus the $19,977.77.
I'll support, and I was gonna try to get the number, but I can't find my calculator.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, then if we do it that way, once we pay it, we're not gonna be able to recoup it. That's where my concern is.
Most,
Go ahead.
most of the other bills though, we're gonna pay down the line anyway. You know, like if we decide we're not paying them up until September or whatever,
Mhm.
next year we're gonna end up paying them. Because,
But if we pay
They
them for
bought-
this, that's why I'm concerned, that we pay this, then they're gonna say, you already paid us, they're gonna bill us next year, no matter what. They're not gonna take it back and give it back to us. I don't see that happening.
But
I
we
don't
already
know.
paid last year,
Mhm.
so we still have to look at that.
Right, and
Trying
we
to
still have to
recoup.
get this year back, and then next year,
Last year was a lot less though,
Right.
only like 19 or something like that. For the whole.
So my question on the hours, is that something that's showing up until August? Is that what this discrepancy is gonna be? And they have to provide us with that breakdown, which,
Not just the breakdown showing the hours, but I have questions about the proper authorization to undertake the work. Was the process followed to engage these, because these are city of Nashwauk employees
right,
that are being engaged on behalf of the Joint Power Board. And the question is, were the proper steps followed to engage them? Or are there just hours being billed to the Joint Power members to supplement the Nashwauk employees? And this is especially true for over the last year, where the city of Keewatin has received no service from the system.
right. Okay. And I guess I'd like to add that I think we need to get these bills quarterly and not 3 quarters at
Right.
once, because the document that we got was like 200 pages long, so, after we requested it. So I think we need to have documentation quarterly for each invoice as well.
Is there a penalty if we don't pay the whole thing right now? I know we talked about that before, is there a penalty for defaulting or not making a payment?
There's I got the agreement here. There's a default provision that would basically force us to go mediate.
You made a motion, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Has it been seconded?
I supported it, and the amount is $48,761.93.
Any further discussion, all in favor?
I,
Motion carried.
somebody come get
All right, next up, under 7.3, approved transfer leases for Glacier Park properties.
And I apologize, I just, a little bit ago, sent this over to Clerk Mackey, but I have prepared a sublease agreement, which is technically what it would be, because we hold the prime leases between the city and Glacier Park. And then what we're doing is subleasing spaces or areas to the residents of the city. So I have provided a sublease agreement. There were a couple of blanks that I left in the agreements. I said, I understood from my conversations with Clean that 4 years was an acceptable term, because it provided us some reasonable longevity in the agreements with our residents, but also gave us a little bit of a gap between the termination of the end date of our leases and the end date of the Glacier Park lease, in case Glacier Park's inclined not to renew for an additional term on our prime lease. And then the other question I had, I received the fee schedule, so I left the rent space within the agreement blank. But there's different amounts, and I was wondering if the city is interested in going to a flat rate for the lease of our spaces or lots, or whether we want to keep it varied amounts.
It's the size of the parcels though, like we talked about. That's why it's really hard. When some of the parcels have 5 lots or,
After our last meeting, Councillor Jibbery, who actually recused herself because she is in one of these properties, she stated that the lease amount is based off the square footage of the house.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep, that's right now. It rings a bell.
okay. I just would like to make the council aware that because the lease amounts are minimal and varied, it doesn't cover your costs for administrative fees for taking care of your leases for the year. I just want you to think about that. If you were to go to a flat fee lease, it would, equal it out across. They're all receiving the same city municipalities and services.
Is there a suggestion for a flat fee?
These types of fees vary, and based on the fee schedule that I've seen from the city, I think we would be fairly consistent. A lot of times what I see is, anywhere from $100 a year to, $400 or $500 a year for just the space. Because in addition to that, I would assume that everybody's paying property taxes and the like. So. And that's typically what it's aimed at, is just, looking at what does it cost to administer the lease process within the city and how much would it take to cover that. Once your leases are in place, it's really not all that much to me, to kind of go through the process on a daily basis.
Well, we got a high of 242 and a low of 58, I believe. I look at the print there, and it doesn't charge you right now.
I mean, would 200 be reasonable, or should it be more?
And see, and I was thinking 150. If I knew what this total was, so, because we don't want to go backwards.
Right.
So if we had this total on there and it gave us a little bit more, because they're not paying much they're getting the same services as everyone else, but their property taxes are very low because it's leased land. So the city needs to recoup money to be fair to all the residents to match up with the property taxes somewhat. You know what I'm saying? I understand it's leased, that's just my opinion. So I understand what you're saying, Pam, as far as, and next year possibly look at that and see where we're sitting and continue to move forward and if it works.
And it looks like some people are not paying.
Oh,
Yeah,
bad.
some
So-
haven't.
And now how is that getting handled? Is that getting assessed on their property taxes then, or? And are they current on their property taxes?
So under the new sublease agreement, essentially, if you don't pay your fee for your yearly fee, you're in default of your sublease and you would lose your sublease theoretically. And what I would assume is that we would ask and require all of the residents in this area to convert to the new sublease. Because I assume, my recollection is that all of the leases are fairly close to being due.
So if they don't pay that lease amount that we're charging, then what happens? We move them or?
Yeah, you cancel their lease and theoretically you can force them to move off the property.
So in the lease agreement that we're providing them, is there a period of time that if you do not pay your lease, you have 60 days?
It's much shorter in the sublease. So I've actually, the sublease I've created is very favorable to the city. And so for non-payment, you have a cure period of 14 days. And then you can, it can still be redeemed after that. But after 14 days of non-payment, you can begin the cancellation process.
So is it better if we review what you sent?
Yes.
And then decide at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's do that.
let's do that.
And I do apologize for having it late to the council.
Then we can get these
Right,
numbers.
then we
that
can
are-
look
yeah.
at it. Okay. I'll make a motion to table to the next meeting, the transfer of leases for Glacier Park properties and determining the fees.
Second.
Okay, are these all the same then,
7.3 and 7.5, I
Yeah,
guess would be.
those two. We still need approve 7.4, approve the city of Keewatin ground lease with Glacier Park.
Maybe. So we have a motion by Counselor Levine and a second by Counselor Moraz to table
Next meeting.
till the next meeting.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried.
And then are we tabling the next one as well? Or do we need to?
No, I think the
Okay, we
next
can make
one,
it the 7.4.
yeah, the 7.4, this is our extension between the city of Keewatin and Glacier Park. I would recommend the approval of this, because the primary thrust of it is simply to extend the dates from January 1, 2025 to December 30th, 2029.
Okay, I'll make a motion to do that.
I'll second it. Any further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Susan, can you come back in?
She's gonna.
We will move on to new business. First up, discuss CTC telephone and internet service charges and upgrading the telephone system. Good, Mackie, do you have?
Enclosed in your packet, pages 22, 23, and 24, we asked our current telephone provider to give us an estimate on what it would cost for us to upgrade our telephones within the city. You guys are probably aware that the ones in the clerk's office are old and don't work properly when people call in and transferring lines and such. So I asked for them to prepare us an estimate. If you had a time to review it. Page 24 tells you the one-time upfront cost for the telephone. That's on page 24. On page 23, it gives you the current charges, $599.60, and then that's plus your taxes. And our bill would go up to $688.30. Keep in mind that CTC took us on when we received a letter we would no longer receive telephone service from our previous provider. They also, if we call them with a problem with the phone system, they come here for free, and then they also do all the installation and everything and upfront, so we wouldn't be responsible for that as either.
In my opinion, $88.70 is not that much when you're looking at what it's going to do.
And that's a $350 one-time fee.
Correct,
And you're getting new phones,
correct. Police department, public works.
everybody. Okay. And are they a regular phone or are they the cordless like you have?
They're a regular phone with the ability to transfer, put people in the hands,
Okay,
headsets,
okay,
multitasking.
perfect.
So what's with the 5-year contract on page 24 and the 3-year contract on 22 for the phones? So the phones, if we buy them from them, we have to carry it for 5 years, but our regular contract is 3 years? Or am I not
I
understanding
included the
this?
current regular.
Pardon me?
Our current contract with them is for 3 years.
Yep, and then, so then how do we get a 5-year?
That is the new contract.
That's.
So the initial contract when they took us over was 3 years. This whole proposal will switch it from now moving forward to 5.
That's probably it. They want a longer contract to recoup for the price of the phones and all that stuff.
So is this the resolution that we're adopting or is that something different?
it's on there.
Because it's 8.2 is a resolution,
If you choose to adopt this new.
so that is part of that. So this says 3 years and not 5 then.
Right.
Okay.
So I guess I'm confused now, what's the difference?
And then one other question, Beth, I know we have 2 internets up here, but then the street department also, because their bill is $200 a month.
Mhm.
But there's only one on here. Is that not? It's up on the top, it says internet.
What page are you on?
I am on page 24, the one time out front.
It's out by the yellow, internet services. One fiber and it's one partner.
I can ask her for clarification.
I think, I don't know why we wouldn't, if they have to have a phone down there, if they do, maybe they don't. Fire department doesn't have a phone anymore, so maybe they don't even want it since they use their cells. But that's what, I know that they're charged for it, but it's not here because that's for, that 150 is for the office, obviously. Cause then that'll change that bill closer, you know. 850.
In order for the street department to have a telephone though, they do need the internet.
That's what I'm saying,
Okay.
yeah, totally get that. And if they didn't want it, that's what I'm saying, do they have to have one? How do you guys do well without having one down there? Doesn't phase
Yeah,
you, your phone, cell phones are,
We do fine, and if anybody needs to call, they usually call City Hall. I think the only guy that is the OSHA guy that didn't have our number, so.
But Supervisor Sunquist does get telephone calls at the shop or garage.
I think there should be a phone line there. I mean,
it's just a lot, you know,
That 200, is that just for the phone or is that for internet?
that's for internet to have the phone, yes.
Because they have a computer down there and copy machines and that kind of stuff.
Well, but that's not hooked up,
That's not-
it's that old one. But, yeah, I don't know. But they would have to add that in, I know it's gonna be another 150 because we have one here and one down there, and she doesn't have it on this bill, that's all I'm saying.
so I see it's on the 3-year,
Right,
but not on
Not
the,
on the 5 year.
We'll have to
Beth can just check into
check
that.
into that.
can we
You know.
table it till the next meeting?
Sure.
Till we get
Get a
clarification on that?
Let's do that and we clarify that.
I'll make a motion to table for the next meeting.
I'll support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
And
Aye, motion carried. Okay, we'll move down to 8.3. Adopt resolution to award the professional engineering service contract for a 2-year contract ending December 31st, 2025. So we just can do all the next one, or how we gonna do it? That's
You each have had the opportunity to review all the engineering proposals. We were gracious enough to have them all speak to you at the last meeting.
I went through all of the information again and on each firm and did some calling and checking and I guess I'll make a motion if nobody else wants to, but I'll make a motion to hire SEH as the professional engineering services for the city of Keewatin for 2 years.
any discussion?
Well, it's open for discussion.
You can call for a second.
Is there a second?
No discussion. Nobody has anything.
Well,
to
you
say?
can support
Yeah.
and then discuss. whatever you want to do.
Well, I'll support and then with discussion, because I'm hoping that people will discuss. But, so SEH was the last group that presented to us, correct? That
No,
was the,
Second,
Okay, I just wanna make sure.
Last one was Bolton and me,
Mhm.
or the second one.
The last one was Bolton.
So Counselor Levine, can I ask you a couple of questions, because you made some calls? Was there anything present, did you call all, did you make follow-up phone calls to all?
I talked with other clerks that had them for, I basically called, I mean, obviously we know on Benchmark, and we've worked with Jeremy. So I did talk to clerks that have Bolton and Mink, and obviously I work with SEH, and the other cities that do. So I just feel like their pricing is reasonable, and some of the other quotes that we did get on the pricing and then how they're going to do the work was kind of high. I think Bolton and Mink was high on their, how they calculate their engineering fees and services. They've all pretty much will come to the meetings and not charge. And I think they have, a good background with clarification and coming forward with change orders and things like that. So
Do I remember the mileage? What was the mileage?
the mileage rate
On
was
SEH, was it?
65. But that's not,
There was none, was there?
it's not under council.
Not for
Right.
council meetings?
Mhm.
Okay.
no. And it's not per project. So if they're quoting a project for, if you look at the proposal, they're quoting a project, everything's included. They don't charge for mileage. And maybe Matt wants to comment on that. If anyone has questions.
Well, and both of these ones, the ones that we were just discussing, the interest on my part was the ability to search for other funding opportunities. Because I think that that's an area where our city really needs that support right now, more than ever. So I think that they were pretty comparative in that respect. I was also leaning towards the fact of working with somebody 100% new to the city. So one that we may have not had a previous relationship with, that no one else has worked with before, but that also has the background support, big project capability, more or less a fresh start. That was just a thought that I had. Not to put any of the other ones down, but I just, for the city of Keewatin right now, the funding is my biggest concern, is being able to search for, meet our needs, but also be able to search for the grants and whatnot based on where we're at right now. Anyone else have any thoughts?
I like the options that Bolton and Maine offered us with setting up our GIS and all that for our town, our mapping and all that stuff, but at no cost was something big in my mind, because I know everything it happens on paper should be updated.
Can I comment on that?
Yes.
I don't think it's free. It's 15,000 in there. Wasn't it? 15?
There's two different components of
Okay.
that, the taking of all your data and scanning it and providing that would be at no cost.
Okay,
But if you chose to do a GIS mapping,
it's
it would be
15.
50.
What is your proposal on,
Pardon me?
on mapping and GIS?
We didn't have anything specific in there for GIS. That is a service that we provide, and it would depend on the level of service that you want and
How much?
how much detail you want into it, similar to what they're suggesting.
Yes.
Yeah, all the candidates are wonderful candidates. They've all reached out and provided us with good proposals. I agree with Counselor Jivery in we need an engineering firm that can take us to the next level as lots of things are coming down the pike for the city of Keewatin. And the search for funding will be steadfast.
Do you have any comments or recommendation that you're,
I do have a recommendation. I was very impressed with Bolton and Mink when they came here. They interviewed us and then turned around and interviewed them. I, in my own research, have heard good things about all the candidates here, but I did hear good things about Bolton and Mink as well. Mink. It's a tough decision, I think you have up before you.
It is a tough decision, I think. Because I don't want to dismiss the previous relationships that we've also built with Benchmark Engineering and even with the change in employees. You know, it doesn't take away from that part. And I like to maintain those relationships. But I'm just thinking I am thinking next level for us.
Yes. Thank you, Gene. So do I have anybody have a motion to make for Bolton and Mink? We have one on the table for SEH.
I'll make a motion for Bolton and Mink.
we already
There's
have a motion on the
for
table.
SEH.
Oh, that's what he said. I thought he said to make one. Sorry.
No.
There's a motion for SEH.
Right.
Is there a second?
So we ain't got a second.
So I supported it with the discussion, but I'm
Supported
gonna, I think what I'm gonna do if I can is rescind that support. Can I take that back?
I think so.
Just because I want to.
Is the hourly rate the same?
Pardon me?
Remember, is the hourly rate the same? 175 per hour, SEH is,
It depends on.
Who's doing
okay. Bolton and Mink,
We have a discounted rate at $100 an hour, I think, for up to either 15 hours or 20 hours a month.
It was 15.
15,
And then whatever depending on the engineer that's doing the work, then everything varies on that scale.
okay.
And on projects, you were 18%,
yes.
and bigger to come down. How about you guys?
We don't do it based on a percent of construction. We usually sit down and figure out what we think it's gonna take to do the project. And then we'll sit down with your staff and if the council desires to see it as well, figure out what, and that percentage will vary, but it's gonna be based on the amount of work that we think it's gonna take to do it. It's not just based on a straight percentage.
Okay. Recommendable.
Counselor Jivery, can you clarify what you're,
What I'm doing.
for me, please?
So I took my second back, my motion. Am I supported?
You have a motion on the table for SEH. I'll second.
Any further discussion?
So we have a motion by
Yep.
Counselor Levine,
Yep, to adopt the resolution. Yeah.
supported
Professional
by
engineer.
Counselor Morales.
SEH. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You're gonna have to do a roll call.
You have to do, is there opposed? Opposed?
Roll call. Counselor Ross,
Yes,
Counselor Jibber,
No,
Mayor Levine,
Yes.
Counselor Levine,
Yes.
Counselor Thompson.
No.
Motion carried. 3-2. Thank everybody for coming. Thank you, Alan, for all the good years of service.
Thank you.
SCH will be starting January 1st, I guess.
Mayor?
Yes.
We had another Gage Waldvogel. He put in his application as a casual laborer or a seasonal rink attendant. He would like to start working sooner. So when I called him back, he was fine with the rink attendant. However, we don't have any days.
do we need any casual laborers anymore? Casual laborers?
Would the council entertain after the first of the year reviewing the count, letting them reapply the casual laborers, and we would include his application at that time?
So we can make a motion for this. I'll make a motion to adopt resolution to hire Gage Wellville as seasonal rink employee.
Any further discussion?
Okay.
were you confused?
Yeah,
He can reapply at the
yeah, I
beginning of
thought
the
we
year.
were reapplying, so why are we hiring?
He can work as this and
For 2
apply.
days? That's what I think.
Well,
that's
this is for the rink.
Seasonal.
This is
what-
seasonal
But
for
then
the
he's
rink.
gonna reapply January 1st to go to casual labor for $18 an hour. Is what you're thinking, Tanya?
Yeah,
That's what I'm
I'm
thinking.
confused.
But
Okay, but that's,
I think he wants to work, so if we're not hiring casual labor this January 2nd, he's not gonna have a job, right?
so we're gonna hire him as a rink attendant,
And we don't have ice.
provided that we have ice. He can apply for a casual labor position, and if we need one, then at that time we'll hire it. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, that's fine. I just didn't know.
He's not actually hired, he's going on the list.
Yeah, I was confused for a minute. Okay, or not up to
So we have
speed.
a motion by Counselor Levine. Do we have any support?
Support.
Any further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Up 8.6. Or no, 8.5, adopt resolution for Keewatin Police and Fire Departments to accept and use 2023 public safety aid of the $42,666.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
So the city of Keewatin was awarded those funds, and I know that Fire Chief Whitney, has something that
Police
he,
chief.
Police Chief has something that he would like to purchase with part of his funds. And I don't know what the Fire Chief would like to purchase with her funds.
I know for sure if we don't have money in the budget, that we'll use it for helmets, because our helmets are expired, so. And that'll be 9,400. Yeah, yes, it's in here.
So we do have resolutions for both, should the council approve that spending.
Okay, so you have, so the resolution for Chief Whitney, he knows what he's buying.
Right, he is purchasing tasers from Axon Enterprises for a total amount of $9,992.35.
992.
$9,092.
All right, I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution for the police department to purchase 3 tasers in the amount of $9,092.35 with the public safety aid funding.
And I will support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
So
Do we
Why
have
is
to do a separate resolution to accept those funds? Or not?
It should
It's
be
part of
in
the
the
resolution.
resolution.
Oh, okay.
We know we need one for the fire department for $9,430.
I'll make a motion to approve the fire chief purchase of fire department helmets from Grand Forks Equipment for $9,430.
I'll support.
And you're using the funds for that?
If we don't have enough in our budget, yes,
Contingent on their budget.
contingent on budget. Yeah. Which I'll sit down with that. So can I just say that the reason that we're purchasing these, so this particular helmet has, eye shields that are in the helmet themselves, they're not external, which is why we go with these. But if we were not to purchase them, the additional faceplate would be $50 to $75. Plus, if we purchase them before the beginning of the year, we get a hood, which is a particular hood, which is $150 value for each helmet that we get. So that's why we're going with this particular helmet.
Yes, we have a motion by Counselor Giblin, supported by Counselor Thronson.
Can I ask a question on, what do we do, what's the plan for the rest of the funds, the 42,000?
I don't have one yet. I mean, I have an idea. I mean, we would like thermal imaging cameras for each of our packs that we started raising money for. So we could use a portion of that. And then we don't have any backup LDH posts. So I've looked into that. It's $1,000 a length. So, but in the event that we ever go to a fire and it's frozen and we can't thaw it out when we get back and repack the truck, we don't have any backup. So then we have to hook up the old way. It's not that we can't hook up, we just hook up the old way instead of the new way, so. But
All right, next up, 8.8.
All in favor?
I already said that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 8.8, adopt memorandum of understanding between the city of Keewatin and Mass Union for the implementation of earned sick and safe time.
And Mayor, if I may add on this, this would be the council approving it, it wouldn't be effective until it's ratified by the union. So, and there's a potential if the union wishes to negotiate it, there's some aspect of it that they don't like, it may have to come back to the council, but at least this way we can keep the process moving. And the other thing that I'll mention is until such time as it's fully ratified and put in place, it defaults to state law, which in effect is the same position.
So I will make a motion to adopt the memorandum of understanding between the city of Keewatin and AFSCME Union number 18 for the implementation of earned sick and safe time.
It's 81,
81?
not 18.
81.
I'll support.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. 8.9, adopt resolution to award Precious Pause service contract to a one-year contract ending December 31st, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the professional services of Precious Pause for the city of Keewatin Animal Collections.
a second.
Any further discussion? All in
I have
favor?
a question.
Yes,
Is that, we're just doing a yearly?
That's what they do,
Okay,
with no change.
okay. And what is the rate? 150 a month? Okay.
They haven't gone up in a couple of years. It was 125 and
For a really long.
19, they made a, yeah, it's been quite a while. And they've been good, right?
Yes.
My dog's out there. Should've.
That's the only question I have.
all in favor? Aye, motion carried. 8:10, appoint Sandra Chaston for library board for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2026.
I'll make a motion to appoint Sandra Chaston for the library board for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2026.
Support.
Second, okay. Support. All in favor?
I'm,
Aye, motion carried. 8:11, appoint Terrence Edwards for police commission for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2026.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, go ahead. I'll support.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye, motion carried. 8:12, discuss selling to the city of Virginia samplers per people service for 500 to 200. These are samplers that we have down at the sewer plant that we no longer have use for. They want to buy them from us.
Yeah. Okay, I can elaborate a little bit on this. So I talked to Carol at People Service. So I'm not sure if the city is gonna pay for them or if People Service is gonna buy them from us. But the influent is 500 and the effluent is 200. So that's, since we don't need them, Mr. Christensen's asked if we would sell them to them, so. They're about 15 years old
Yeah,
and that's the price they
So this
gave
is
us.
a
So,
generous amount.
well, maybe.
not really.
They're about 10 grand new. So,
And Mayor, just as a matter of process, before we can do this, we would have to have a resolution declaring them surplus property to the
Yes.
city. Okay.
But it doesn't have to go out on bid then, when it's, I thought that's what we had to do. I heard that over and over, and now we don't have to do it.
There's no set process for it. It should be, let me check, because this is a specialized piece of equipment, but generally it should be made publicly available. And so typically what we would do is declare it, I mean, there's a number of ways to do it.
The surplus, I get that.
But one way to do it may be to declare it as surplus property and then just accept sealed bids until such and such a date.
Okay.
And, assuming their sealed bid comes in at an amount and we receive no others, then everybody's at least had an opportunity.
and so I just put it on here for discussion to see if we wanted to do it, so.
Oh, might just do
Do
that for them.
Okay, so we
Get
can,
them done, out of there.
yeah.
Do we need a motion to put them up for surplus or?
We'll have to do a resolution.
Yeah,
We
we
can
have
do
to
it
do
at
a
the next
resolution.
meeting.
do you need a directive for the city clerk
Um,
to make a resolution or no?
just draft a resolution for the next meeting for surplus equipment.
Okay, 8.13, approve off-site gambling for the American Legion Post 452 at Keewatin Community Center for 1/1/24 through 12/31/24.
Can I ask, what is it, is it like for bingo or whatever they wanna do with it, or is that what it is? Is that what it would be?
Becky?
So in discussions with the Legion, they have, opportunities to do a gun raffle,
Oh, okay.
purse bingo. They still have to come up or let the council know what they're doing, but this gives them the opportunity to do it kind of a blanket for the year.
Okay,
And then
Is that a good?
Yeah.
And it's state gambling.
gotcha.
And if the days land on the time somebody's gonna rent it, they meet their date,
Okay,
okay, so it doesn't affect, say if you wanna rent it or I wanna rent it, then they won't get it that day, we gotta change it.
So why wouldn't they just do it like on a as-needed basis?
Right.
Like, why is it a blank? So when they used to do, like, if they were doing food, they would come in and ask for the year, you know? But if they were doing like a gambling event, in order to get it turned into the state, that state paperwork has to be that date. Like, it's not,
They can't send
they
this to the
can't blank, they
state for a
can't blanket
blanket.
it and say, hey, I'm gonna be here January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024. It has to be specific by date.
Right.
Like, if they were having a gun raffle on, let's say, April 5th, they would have to come to the council, ask for approval, and then when they sent that to the state, that April 5th date has to be on them. It can't just be,
Right.
And then it can't be taken off the
And it
calendar,
can't be
like
taken
you're
off the
saying.
calendar.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
And the
fine.
other thing, they can't, if they're gonna do a bingo, that's one checkbox. If they're doing a raffle, that's another checkbox.
Yeah.
So you can't check
Yeah.
every box for the
No.
whole year and say, yeah, you have to be distinct. So I guess I'm kind of confused now too.
Same.
So this is more or less
It's
than just
kind of
asking
scary
to
because
use
you
our
have to have
space.
them ducks in a row.
Right,
when
yeah,
you-
yeah.
And you have to have within 30 days.
But if
to
they fill out
transfer.
the paperwork, I'm assuming that somebody sees that paperwork and kicks it back if it's not correct. What do we do with the paperwork?
We have.
We have to
so
sign
We
off
have
on
to
it.
sign off on it.
So they would have to bring it every single time?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Like, the city clerk has to sign off. The council would have to approve for them to use the community
And
center
liquor
on
and
X
all that
date.
stuff comes in
And
place.
then,
Yeah.
yeah, and then Beth would have to sign off on it, and then they send it into the state.
You either have
Should
to
we
have a
try 6
resolution
months?
or minutes proving that this is what it is.
Because I'm not opposed to them using it at all.
No,
No, I just don't, we can't make a, I mean,
we can't do
we
a
can,
blanket.
but I'm not.
Can
in
we
favor
try
of
a
doing
6 month to see if it works? That's what I'm,
What's that?
do 6 months or a quarter, just to see if they have anything come up for the next 3 months and how it works, if someone else is in place or wouldn't.
We're
it
gonna
even-
authorize her to sign anytime she wants. I mean, we can't do that.
I think all he's doing with this, is just, he has to send some paperwork in that states that they might use this facility, but there's nothing, you know, so he doesn't have to do it again down the line.
He has to though.
Yeah,
He
that's
has
why
to.
he has to do it per
Per event.
raffle or per event.
But this is my thing though, and they do enough gambling at the Legion that I'm assuming they know
Right.
already.
Right.
So is this asking for just to overarching, because I read this 2 different ways, I appreciate what everybody's saying, but they just wanna use the community center for another place to do their events, if that's the case, have at it, I don't have a problem with that, but their paperwork is on them to complete their paperwork correctly and then bring it to us, right?
You're right.
So
But
I mean, am I wrong, or?
can I ask a
Yeah.
question?
Yes,
So there's a couple of different thoughts that I have. So they're asking to be approved as an off-site gambling location. Do they have somebody else who holds a general charitable gambling license that's conducting on the premises? And they're not themselves applying for a general charitable gambling license. They do individual events.
they do their event at the Legion. That's where their
Right.
license is.
And because there's a couple of different
For
ways.
the American Legion, but they go to like pull tabs. So they have pull tabs at the corner bar and they have pull tabs at wherever, different locations. But this is to conduct gambling at, like for a raffle. So we just did this in October where we approved them to have the gun raffle.
Bingo too.
Yeah.
Did we do?
I don't think we did a
Bingo,
bingo, it's
bingo.
just
They
the
do a
raffle.
bingo.
no, they do it right in the bar.
Oh, I see what you.
Yeah, they do bingo at the bar.
So what he's trying to do is get that for the whole year, so that
But
if he
that
doesn't
wasn't
pick a
the
date
Legion.
somewhere during the year.
That was
it's go.
through,
He doesn't have to.
it was the Legion. No, it was AMVET.
He's trying to cut back on some paperwork.
It was through the Vanaqua, I believe.
He was here, and I told him, no, approve it.
Well, because it didn't seem like it was a
I don't remember.
questionable
I
thing.
can't remember.
Mayor Levine,
Yes,
Counselor Dury, and Attorney, would it be okay for you to approve that they have this offsite? However, they are required to give us the actual.
I mean, what we could do theoretically is we could approve the offsite contingent upon proper paperwork for each event. That each event is properly licensed.
I'm fine with that.
So what's the point then?
Well,
There is no point to that either, really. They still have to bring the
But she would still
paperwork.
have to come, they
They
would
still have to
come
bring the
up here.
paperwork and it has to get
Talk to Beth,
approved. This
and
is
then
the
it's-
date.
They'll have to go to the
So
council.
do you
It
have the
doesn't
paper?
really
They don't
matter.
have, they didn't bring the complete paperwork here to begin with. So,
can we table it and get some more information from them maybe?
So our next meeting is this.
he needed it by the end of this, by January 1, the same day. That's,
but when is their event?
He doesn't have a date for it.
I don't think he even has one set up right now, that I know of. But for some reason, that's,
He wanted
he said he
it.
wanted to do it for the whole year and be done with it, or.
Well, even though it,
Yeah, what is the name of this permit? Can you get the other one? The one we already did? Is it the same permit that he's filling out, or we don't even know? Because he only
I
didn't
don't
bring
know
the,
what the permit is.
he didn't bring the complete paperwork in, so we don't even know what it looks
Um.
like. I think we just need to table it.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but if I assume, and this is, I should probably, that Tom knows what paper, he has filled paperwork out 100 times over. Maybe today's not a good day. If they just wanna use the community center, whether it matters or not, we give them the permission to use the community center as their offsite gambling contingent on the paperwork. That paperwork has to be filled out, they know that. If there's nothing that says that you can fill it out for a year and that goes against everything that it says you can do, they know that. And just push it to the end.
Nothing.
Yeah, can you come up here?
I just don't want
Tell him to bring the paperwork.
Yeah,
Tell him to bring,
to the meeting, we just need some more information from you.
he needs to bring the paperwork.
All right, thank you.
I know. That's,
We'll just skip that and move on to 8:14. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, under 8:14, adopt resolution for the 2024 final general budget.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the 2024 budget.
I'll support.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carried. Under 8:15, discuss $25 late fee applied to public utility bills.
So I asked to put that on there for discussion. So Beth sent out the paperwork today. We approved that in October of last year. And since then, we've added fees like with the sewer and whatnot. I've had quite a few people come up to me and this cost is not feasible for many. That would be late on their utility bill. A $25 fee on somebody that has a fixed income, it is not a good fee. I know that a fee has to be there. I just think in lieu of the additional fees that we added to the utility bill, that $25 is steep. So I'm simply asking that the council discuss whether or not we could consider adjusting that accordingly.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I think when we did this, my interpretation, because we had talked about it, was I thought there was already a service charge that goes on the bill once the bill's calculated and it hasn't been paid. I thought this was an addition to a late fee if you didn't pay your bill by the cutoff date. But that wasn't correct. This was added to the bill as a flat fee for everybody who didn't pay their bill on the 25th of the month.
Yeah.
So that's where I was confused when this was passed. Okay, so I think we should have a service fee of whatever it is. If it's 10%, then it's 10%. But once the bill's calculated on the 25th, then it's calculated as a late fee of 10%, and that's added on everybody that's late.
I think the percentage makes more sense, and I'm just thinking
Mhm.
about somebody that has a $40 bill.
Yeah.
And say they pay 35 and they're late 5, and then they get another $25, so then they're paying 30.
It wasn't that, there was a cap on it of $20 or something, it wasn't that low, but that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I understand what you're saying, but it was $100, and if that wasn't paid, you know, I could look in the minutes, but I remember we put a certain dollar amount, we weren't gonna charge someone 25 if their bill was
Right.
25.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
So with that then, so what was the total amount? I have to look on my phone, but we, so far for fees,
An extra 15?
it's quite a bit of money.
I think what might be happening here though is people are not paying their bill, okay? So that they can turn it into one of the agencies that helps them with their bills. And they don't pay that $25 bill.
No.
So then they get their electricity maybe paid for, but that $25 bill is still there. They have to pay that out of their pocket.
Yeah, it's just,
I think
it
that's
adds up
probably-
a lot, so I think even if at a bare minimum, I mean, having the conversation, but then leaving here and all being on the same page, because I think we just touched on it briefly before, but we had that $10 service fee that was already on our bill that we used, and then that additional 15, and then you have this, I mean, so it starts to add up for people. And I guess for me, I just don't feel comfortable with it as
It's
it
$40
stands.
of flat fees on sewer and
Yeah,
then the 20.
it's just everything is
If they're
rising.
late, but that's if they're not late.
And then there's the reconnection fee, if it does get disconnected, $100.
Well, if they sign up for the cold weather rule and they pay
Yeah.
so much a month, they're not gonna get disconnected
If they stay on their plan.
if they
yeah.
stay on the plan.
You gotta follow that paperwork too,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's,
I mean, we can revisit and look at going to a percentage if, I don't know. I mean, if you have a $200 bill and you're at 10%, you're gonna pay $20. So,
it's still gonna
It's still
the
gonna be-
same.
and actually it may be more, and I don't know. I mean, we could have, the clerk research different towns and see what they charge for service charge on late bills. Could be 18, could be 20%.
Yeah, I just, like I said, it seems high, and I wouldn't, I mean, if you can do that, Beth, I think we need to go percentage wise, and there needs to be a cap. Because there are people, and when we had this conversation, and I remember, we did have people that had many bills that weren't paid. It was like we had repeat people that just kept not paying. So we were trying to have a happy medium and, make it so it wasn't doing that, but I don't know that, there are always gonna be people that don't pay.
Right.
And I just have a really hard time making people that already struggle more. I just don't agree with that. I really am not too concerned with anything other than that, of just making it so people can pay their bill and they don't get so far in arrear with late fees that they can't get out of it. Because we got rising costs across everything, and this is one thing that we have control over, is this cost right here. We can't reduce people's sewer rate, we can't reduce their water rate, we can't do any of that. This one we have control over. So if we want to research what other towns are doing and then make a
I would
decision
like
at
to
the other
get some
meeting.
more information
I'd be okay
and
with
look
that.
at that.
I'll make a motion to have the city clerk research
Public utilities.
public utilities, or this public utilities clerk research service charge fees from other cities.
And I'll support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, we're back to 8:13. Approve off-site gambling for American Legion Post 452 at Keewatin Community Center for 1/1/24 to 12/31/24. Tom, can you get up and give us a little discussion on that? We just need to hear, what you need this for and how you're setting it up.
Okay,
Our attorney has a couple questions.
what we're doing, I'm trying to save us all a whole pile of time as to come to the city council meetings every doggone time we want an event next door. So the only reason I need this lease thing is for the gambling control board. They're the biggest pain in my ass ever. So if I blanket statement this thing and do it by the year, I can only have 12 events a year. Granted, that's scheduled around whatever you folks have going on. I mean, we're at your mercy, you're not at ours. But all this is it's paperwork, that's all it is.
That's legal for you to do that. You can set up 12 a year
Yep,
under your license.
yep, I can do 12 off-sites a year.
But can you blanket statement it like that?
Sure I can. Gambling Control Board's the one that told me to do it down out of Roseville.
So you can do a bingo one
So
time and a
it's-
raffle the next time and it doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter what it is. Pretty much checked all the boxes. See, I have the front page, you guys have the back page. The
Yeah.
front page doesn't pertain to you, that pertains to me. So I checked all the boxes on the front page.
But-
And that covers everything. Believe me, I'm not happy about it either. But it's just something we have to do. It's, in my opinion, it's the dumbest thing ever, but
So I think where the questions were is before, Tom, each event you had, you came to the council and you did your own, a separate piece of paperwork, right? That's
Right.
Every time.
right,
So the gambling control board out of Roseville said that you could do 12 events per year, one page, it doesn't matter what event it is, it's, do you have to listen, or how do you?
yep, it's that front page. I'm always gonna have to fill out the front page, which, no problem. That takes all of about 30 seconds. It's the least part of it, which is the back page.
So, Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes.
So are you asking to make it, you're asking us to issue a 1-year premises permit? Is that what?
No, I'm asking you to issue me a 1-year lease. It's not a premise permit. I have to get the premise permit from the state.
Yeah.
But I can't do it because according to them, since we don't own the building, we have to lease the building. Even though it costs us $0, we have to lease the building. And if you can figure out a way, my friend, to re-elect some of these laws, you'd be my hero.
Gambling control doesn't listen to me either.
Oh, I got news for you, they don't listen to anybody. Lucky you can get a hold of them.
So, just so make sure that I'm understanding, so you would still submit the the event paperwork for each separate event. And
Yes.
what the city's doing is just giving you a 1-year lease or permission so that you can show the gambling control board that you have
Yes,
possession of the premises during the event.
yes, that is it.
That
You
makes
don't
sense.
need the date of the event?
Pardon
You
me?
don't need a date?
My understanding
Not
is,
until, that's what, I've never seen it like that, but if that's what they're doing,
It's
that's.
their rules, not
Yeah.
mine. I don't make the rules.
Well, they're getting the date on the first paper that you fill in.
You know, I got
Well,
10
yeah.
inches of doggone
No.
paperwork
Yeah,
in a book that tells me what I can and can't do.
so
And most people don't understand all of this, but I've been at this 16 years, and for the life of me, I can't figure out why they do the things they do.
So maybe this would help, and tell me if I'm understanding it correct. So when an organization that has a charitable gambling permit, when you put pull tabs into an outside facility, you have to lease space to put the box there.
Yes,
I think that's what we're
Yes.
doing here, is we're
Yes.
giving a lease just to show that there's control of the space while the events are happening. Each individual event is gonna have to be sanctioned by the gambling commission, but we're just saying, we're giving you control while the events are occurring.
yes.
So,
So you're gonna bring us more paperwork the day you're gonna do a raffle?
Yeah. Well, no. This meeting, if you approve this, that eliminates your end of it. It doesn't eliminate my end of it. I still have to do it every time I do a raffle,
and we're still gonna
that's
have
the
to
issue
prove
right
him
now.
doing it. Yeah.
I mean, they want to do a first bingo there
Yes.
on the 11th
Demo
of
city, yes.
January. That's why I have to have this into the state.
So that's all it is, it's like you
So,
said, the box.
But it eliminates me from having to stand up here every time we do an event. All we need to do is schedule the event with City Hall
Oh,
to make sure that the hall is open for that day.
and in the
I
eyes,
still have to do the paperwork.
And she doesn't
You
have to
guys
sign off on
don't.
it? What does the city sign off on then?
Pardon me?
What does the city sign off on?
You're not really signing off on anything. All you're saying is I got use of the hall for a year.
We
Hey,
don't have
if
to
you don't
sign
like
it.
it- If you don't want to do it this way,
Doesn't the clerk have to sign it?
So-
Doesn't she have to sign the paperwork?
yeah,
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Doesn't she have to sign it? You said
but I
no.
mean, right, no. She has to sign off on it, yes, for the whole year, one time. If you don't want to do it this way, every time we want an event, I can come and go through this whole thing all over again. I'm trying to save us all a bunch of time and trouble. Because I can fill out this paperwork till you're blue in the face. I'm really good at it.
Well, it's only 12 times, right? It's only
I
once a
mean,
month.
you know something, if we want to have an event on the 10th of something, and you say, no, it's already booked, then we gotta move our date. We have to move our date.
So you wanna have this bingo or this raffle or whatever on November 12th, whatever.
11th.
Okay, so you're gonna send something to Beth and she's gonna sign it December 31st of 2022 and you're gonna attach it to the back of this paperwork? How does
No,
that
she's
even make sense?
She's gonna sign the thing for the 1st of January through the 31st of December.
That doesn't even make sense to me.
It's
I
a
can't-
lease.
Do you have all the
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
so we
I
can
don't-
look at it? I mean, I don't
It's
know, I
2
just,
pages,
Yeah.
that's it.
we
Because if
don't
you're
have
gonna
it.
sign, because if somebody comes in and says, hey, here's your paperwork, you're filling it out, you're gonna have it November, whatever, and I'm gonna sign on the bottom. If I'm signing a date as somebody that's authorizing somebody, or something, I'm not signing it January 1st, 2024 through December 31st of 2024. I'm signing it on this date, today.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's just change this whole thing. We'll just do this every time we want an event. And I'm gonna stand up here and tell you the same damn thing, where we could have eliminated all of this in one shot. But you chose not to. So-
They don't understand, that's why they're asking questions, they want to understand what's going on.
So basically, just give me a lease for the 11th
11.
of
Time
January.
for the recommendation.
And I'll stand up here every time they wanna do something, and we're gonna go through the same thing. All I'm trying to do is eliminate.
You actually don't need to stand up there to do anything, you only need to submit your paperwork for it to be approved.
Yeah, you don't have
even
to
need to
come.
be here.
He called me.
Right,
Well,
because
right
we have
now, yes.
questions.
Attorney wants to say something.
Thanks, Mayor. So maybe here's what we could do. So there's an event January 11th.
Yes.
The council could approve that event for January 11th. In the meantime, what I suspect is that we're looking at a Minnesota statute 349.213 subdivision 2 approval. I will confirm that. I'll get a report or a memorandum back to the council. And at our next meeting, we could address the balance of the year.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you guys for coming up. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks.
So I'll make a motion to.
Done?
Yeah,
So
we're good.
when is his meeting, or when is the?
January 11th,
January 11th?
all day.
Is there something else?
Okay, so we have a motion by Council Jivry.
Okay,
Give me a second.
Yeah, second.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? All in favor?
aye.
Motion carried.
Goodness.
All right, now we're back to 8:16, set snow removal meeting date.
What day, Mick? What are you doing?
I don't really care. Available. Yes.
Sooner rather than later, or what are you looking at? When we hit snow,
I'd
or,
say after the first of the year sometime.
so like January?
Beth, do you have any special date?
You don't need to have a motion. There's only two of you on the
Right.
committee. It
Right.
doesn't really matter.
Okay,
I
perfect.
You don't
think
need
we
to have
that.
the agenda.
Okay. We have a couple add-ons we gotta go over yet. The first one is, Nashwaak's gonna have their second meeting on the ambulance. They would like a representative from Keewatin to attend. So,
I'll make a motion to allow the mayor to be on the,
who? No, we already have,
We already have some.
Beth is gonna attend with Chris,
oh,
if
okay.
she can.
Yeah, okay.
And if you can't, we can switch it, it doesn't matter.
Okay, then I'll make a motion
To
to
appoint.
appoint Carissa to attend the Nashwaak Ambulance Service meeting, task force meeting.
I'll second that. Any further discussion, all in favor?
Discussion.
Okay,
I really want to be quick. I am not in favor of the city of Keewatin putting money into that ambulance service over there. I'm not. We have our budget set for this year, and I don't know what kind of money they got in as far as the, what it was called, the fire and police.
Public safety aid.
Yes, I mean, I would like to know what those kind of numbers are and stuff like that before we start. I mean, I understand it's just a startup meeting and stuff, I get that, but I'm just voicing my opinion to please be very cautious with regards to the city of Keewatin and thoughts, that's
So,
how I
Let
feel.
me add just really quick, some
Okay.
context here. So I attended the December 7th meeting
Mm-hmm.
in person, because I wanted to hear what they were talking about over there. And so I took very detailed notes of the whole conversation, and what the takeaway point was creating this task force to have these larger discussions.
Okay,
So with that said, I see my role as going over there not to represent everybody's opinion, but to get information front and center so that I can bring it back to the council on all discussions that they're having. That's the only role. I wanna make sure that Keewatin's sitting at the table and that we're not in left
Agreed.
field getting it through the
Agreed.
chain of who knows has it. Because it was actually a very good discussion and it was a very good meeting. I'm glad that I was glad that I was there. So, in the event that, I can't go, I don't know if anybody would wanna be a backup or,
I'd be a backup.
okay, cause I'm assuming that there might be a conflict at some point in time, but, yeah, if anybody wants to know, like I said, I have a couple pages of notes that I grabbed from that. And if we want, at each council meeting, I would be happy to take these same note style and just give everybody a more formal update on what I learned from the meeting. And then anything that we have to decide on or discuss, we'll do it as a group. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'll amend my motion then to add Tanya as an alternate.
Can I add
Yes,
something to
Tanya,
discussion?
you may speak.
So I actually had a conversation with Chief Jankla from Hibbing Fire today. And there is no law or anything saying that Men's One or Hibbing Fire would have to absorb that area from National Ambulance. So basically, we would just fall into waiting for the next available rate. So
So it's not part of the statute.
it is not a statute, there's nothing that you have to absorb that. So just keeping that in mind, also, if we are going to put any money, I would like to see an audit first.
So, yeah, I think that these are all good topics of conversation depending on what they push out from those meetings. Cause this meeting was December 7th. I don't know what has taken place since there, but that was their, after that hour and plus discussion, the takeaway was to create a task force. And like I said, it's on this agenda, Beth put on, to make sure that Keewatin's sitting at that table too. Cause it does impact us, no matter what way, and if, maybe not us directly, but it does our residents in town.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion?
I think we passed it.
Or she needs a support.
I think she needs-
Someone supported it. Susan did.
I did, I think.
Oh. Did someone support it?
Counselor Thompson.
Okay.
To appoint Russell.
No.
Mayor Levine supported it.
support.
Supported it. She had further discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then
All in
Jeffrey?
favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. The other thing is, McQueen, fire truck bill. I do have a question on this.
Yep.
Now, is this something, do you have the money for this, or is the money available?
Yeah,
Or can we use some of that? Is it available to use that money that we got in the
Well,
grant?
I'm gonna come in, so Billy printed off expense and revenue for me. I'll come in and go over that with Billy and Beth tomorrow and then look at this. But
Okay,
this is to pass pump testing. Yes. So we had an issue which led to another issue, which led to another issue. So he was back here 3 times to fix valves and drains and so, yeah, to the tune of $6,500 for engine 1, so.
So if the funds are not in the budget, you would then be using,
We have money
I
in
don't think you
savings
can
or we
use that
can,
money.
yeah,
You can't use that.
no,
money.
Oh,
we have
okay.
money in savings if we need to.
so we might as well pass a motion to pay the bill.
okay.
We just need a motion to pay.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to pay the
$64.97.
$64.97.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to pay the bill to McQueen Equipment, McQueen Emergency for the sum of $6,497.58.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Right.
Motion carried. Any department head reports or anything like that? If none, then the motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn at 6:35.
I'll support.
Any further discussion, all in favor?
Fine.
Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, stay back.
Please, my assistant.
Yeah. 609.72 subdivision 1 Friends 2 charge before. This is, okay, oh, good, good, thank you. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's just, a lovely guy.